Today we're going to be having a little chat with Pauline and Alan, who had time in Guildford between 1957 and 1963. So when did you guys move to Guildford?
October 50. No, I went up in about August, didn't I?
Yes. Okay.
I came down. I got discharged from the Air Force. I came down from Darwin.
Yeah.
This was in August, and went to Guildford.
Right.
And
In the snow.
so
All by yourself?
So that was a bit of a change.
I reckon. So when did you come into the picture? Were you together then in the day?
We were engaged then, but we were married in 57.
Okay.
And went to Guildford on the 5th of
Yeah, when I
October.
came,
Oh, it was, yes. We had the house, it was a Forest Holdings house. They were part of AWPN.
Okay.
yeah,
Fantastic.
when I came down, I went looking for a job as a plant operator, and I had two offers. One was with Bonnie's down at, I can't think of his name, at Smithton, and the other one was with Forest Holdings up here, and I went for an interview out here with Bill Meadows at Forest Holdings, and with a job at Guildford. It was the offer of a house.
Oh, fantastic.
£1 a week, I think.
£1 a week, wow.
And
That was the rent, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
and seeing as it had an electric stove in it, I think it went to 25 shillings a week.
Oh, wow, wow. So when you moved up there, okay, what were your impressions of the place? So it had...
Bit of a shock to the system.
I wondered. So you'd actually come from, did you have time in Burnie prior, or you just came straight down from Darwin?
He came straight down from Darwin.
Yeah, Pauline lived.
I lived in Burnie.
Right, okay.
Yeah, Pauline came to Darwin after her father died.
Yep.
And when was that? 56 or 55?
When Dad died.
Yeah.
It was the start of 57, May 57.
May 57. Yeah, Pauline came up there then.
Yeah.
And we were trying to work out where we were going to live. And we were going to get married in Burnie, so we came back to Burnie to get married.
Yep.
Then I got a job. I thought, my initial thought was I was heading to Queensland or somewhere.
But you ended up at Guildford.
So we headed back to Guildford when the job came up in the house.
Fantastic, yeah.
And we stayed there till Annette was due for school. The school's closed by then.
No, it was still going.
And we came down so she could go to school. We come down to Haybridge and she went to Rihanna school.
Ah, right, so you had two kids?
Yes, the second one was just a month old when we moved.
Okay, gotcha. Yep.
Oh,
So,
no, that'd be the third.
The third one.
Karen was the baby, so
Yeah.
Michael was in between, so...
right, so you had 3 kids?
3 kids.
3 kids, yes, right, okay. So you brought them up in Guildford?
Started off
That started off in Guildford?
yeah.
Yeah.
We decided when we went there, we would stay there until our first child was due to start school.
Yeah.
So that's when we left, which was a mistake. We should have stayed on.
Oh, so it's initial...
I had never known of it, the schools teach you with 2 or 3 classes in one room.
Right.
And I thought, heck, and so I thought, oh, no, that's no good. But they've all survived and they're all,
Yeah.
so
There's something...
looking back on it, I thought, well, we should have stayed.
Yeah. it's small schools that have sort of got that sense of connection and, you know, community and the whole town. But what I really loved was when I said, what was your first impressions of moving to Guildford, and you said that you were shocked. Why were you shocked? What was it?
I couldn't imagine as you know, would have no shops.
No shops? Yep.
Yeah, no buses or anything. Not that I lived just halfway up your road. It was just nothing I was used to. No pictures.
No. So did you mainly move around via rail, therefore?
No, we used to come down, used to be an hour from Guildford to Burnie, down through the Pulp Road.
Okay.
Because we just travelled that way.
You've been up that road?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So did you go into Waratah much?
Yeah, quite often, because I got friendly with one of the women in lived opposite us, down one house, I think. Her parents lived in Waratah. And we became friendly because we had children all the same age.
Yep.
And we got friendly. She died a few years ago and we were friendly right up until then.
Yeah.
Not close friends because she married and moved to Wynyard, so that, you know, whenever we saw each other, it was big hugs and cuddles, you know, and there's Waratah.
Oh, so while we're just talking about Waratah, what do you remember about Waratah in that day? So were there many shops or anything in Waratah?
Yeah, well, Cyril Neighbour had the butcher shop.
What was that person's name?
Cyril Neighbour.
Oh, Neighbour. Right, yep, yes. And that was located on the corner there?
Yes, just down from the pub.
And there was a drapery shop, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was mainly men's drapery, I suppose, because they're bush work, you know, they probably
Yep.
change their clothes more often
I
for
was
it.
trying to think.
Yep. Do you remember who had that shop? Was that a farmer's shop? Or was it Kerrison? Do you remember who had the
I think it was Kerrison's.
Kerrison.
Kerrison shop? Yeah.
Yes, and there was another shop out by the hall, Waratah Hall, opposite the Waratah Hall. That was
Robinson?
Robinson, yeah.
Yeah, Martha Robinson's shop.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got some photos of Martha's Robinson's shop there.
All right.
Yes.
Yes.
So that was where, and that's where they had movies too, didn't they?
Yeah.
At the main hall.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, going around, so we went heading into town, going over the bridge, coming around. Butcher shop would have been in front of you. As we're coming around, there were more shops
Yes.
around there, including farmers. Was farmers there when you guys were
I
there?
can't remember.
Well, in Burnie there was the farmer service.
So that was coming around, back into Waratah, coming around. So by then the Waratah Hotel would have burnt down, wouldn't it? There was no Waratah Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was coming this...
There was two hotels, I think, when we first went there.
Oh, when you first went there, there were two
I've got
hotels.
no idea. One burnt down when we were there, was it? I can't remember.
No,
Yeah.
I can't
The
remember.
Waratah Hotel, which I think Joe Fagan had it.
Yeah, he did it at the time we were there.
That was the second one up. We went round, there was Cyril Neighbour, then I think there was the bookies.
Oh, yes. But that's okay, it'll
Yes.
come to you. And then after that, there would have been like a fruit shop or something, like a
Could have
general
been.
little shop.
Could have been.
Yeah,
I don't know, I
general
remember
store,
Kerrison's
yeah.
shop.
Kerrison shop, yes.
Who was the lady, you know, where we bought our first big boiler off? That was in Waratah, wasn't it? Was she Nancy somebody?
Yeah, Nancy Robinson.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm. Robinson.
Beautiful.
Nancy would have taken, but she would have been a daughter, I suppose, of the
Yes.
original ones. But
Yes.
she married Neil Gillard, didn't she?
She might have.
Well, they were involved anyway.
Yeah.
Nancy Robinson and Neil Gillard, but I can't.
Yeah. So that's really, really interesting. So we should get back to Guildford. Back to Guildford. Yeah. But it's always really interesting to actually, you know, see it live at the time, because I wasn't born at that stage, you know, in the early days there, and so it is really good to know what it was like in those days, what you actually remember. So we'll go back down to Guildford, and we're thinking about what was a shock. Not many shops there, but people seem to be really connected. You know, very friendly. Was that?
Yes, they were, yes. Well, our houses were down one road, and over our back fences was the railway houses. So we were all in close contact with each other.
There was 1, 2, 3, 4,
I'd only been there.
5, 6. There were 7 pulp houses. Now, round the corner, when you come from Waratah into Guildford, and you go round the corner to head up towards the school and then turn left into the railway station, there was a pulp house on the right-hand corner where Dick DeBoer lived. Forest Holdings workshop was on the left. Then you come across the intersection. The first pulp house was the AFH office. We lived next door to that, and Chapman's lived next door to us. Opposite the office, Ted Crisp worked there. That was where Ted and Betty Crisp lived. The next house, I can't think, the chap that lived there, he moved out just after we got there. And Barbara's, Jim and Lois Barber come to live there. And of course when...
that was sort of the end of the line, wasn't it? End of the railway line.
Yeah.
Wow. In the Guildford area.
And Max Strudwick, when he moved out, and he used to run the launch from wharf out to the breakwater.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
That was before they put the walkway over.
Right.
No, and I think that the walkway might have disappeared now, I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, gee whiz, that's fascinating. So it took a whole hour to get, you know, from Guildford to Burnie, Burnie to Guildford,
Yeah.
back again. So you had to organise your shopping. So would you go to Burnie once a week to do your shopping?
No, probably only once a fortnight.
Once a fortnight? Yep. And so
it was an hour each way.
yes. Yeah, but wow, what memories. So was this in the day when they had the steam engines? Was it, or were we into diesel in these days?
No steam.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes, the old Garretts used to come
The
through.
Garretts used to come through.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh,
But there
amazing.
was, you talk about the hour, I'll tell you a story now.
Yeah.
We bought a mantle radio, didn't we? Off Lloyd Camp, down at Lloyd Campbell's.
When they first got going.
Took it to Guildford. This is going to be good, plugged it in and didn't go.
We hadn't been able to listen to the radio for weeks and weeks, you know.
Whether I broke the record back to Burnie or not. That we got down here, this is when they used to close at 9 o'clock on Friday nights.
Oh.
And we into the Lloyd Campbell's and Neil, what's his name? Ryan, Neil Ryan. He got one out of the box, he said, I'll try this one out before you go.
Yeah, good. Oh, gee, that's a great.
Yeah.
Oh,
We came that far just to change the radio.
oh. And did you listen to Dad and Dave in the day?
7BU.
7BU? I remember as a kid, we listened to Dad and Dave. It was sort of like
Yes.
a regular listening.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Whole family listened to it.
Yes, I love that. Oh, that's such wonderful memories. Oh, gosh.
And you talk about the diesel trains now.
Yep.
The EBR had what they called a PV. Now that was a diesel.
What?
And that, the story I'm going to tell you about that was going up to Guildford, I think. And Phil Weicker, who was Least DeBoer's brother, he lived with the DeBoers.
He was in the office, wasn't he?
Yeah. He hit the PV in his Volkswagen, crashed at Hampshire Rail Crossing. He drove the Volkswagen away and had to tow the train.
That's a good one. Oh gosh. Oh dear. Tell us about Flip White.
Flip
Sorry,
White,
hang
yeah.
on. What was his name? Again,
Philip.
I've
His name was Philip Weicker, but
Yes,
Weicker.
commonly known as Flip.
Yep.
Yep.
Now, you know,
That was because of the way they pronounced Philip, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
he come up, when he went to Guildford, I didn't know Flip then, this is before I went there in '57. And Dick DeBoer, like his brother-in-law, he was in charge of the plantations. And anyway, they were planting pines, little pines, you know, seedlings about this high. And the dozer knocked Flip over
Oh really?
and went up his leg.
Oh no.
Anyway, if they'd stopped the dozer and left it, and then dug him out, it would have been all right. But the bloke saw what he'd done, so he put her into reverse and backed off. And as it went out, she sort of cut all these, and that's sort of what.
Ooh,
That's how Flip come to have that limp that he had.
that's a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty tragic.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
I-
you were
I mean,
really
I-
close with Flip, you guys.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Flip and Helen, yeah, we
Helen
were.
was still going to at the market a couple of weeks ago.
It was funny because I only read an article in today's paper. There's a bloke at Ulverston who's wrote a book on his memoirs of being in Indonesia, I think it was, during the the Dutch East Indies anyway,
Okay.
during the war,
Mhm.
and he's wrote his memories. Well, see, that's where Flip was.
Oh,
Flip and Lisa and them, they were there then.
right.
Yes.
So you were really good friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So how did you meet up? Just
Oh, just
because-
working together.
Just working together?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And so then you became best man at their wedding, was that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been lovely. We weren't
She wore
bridesmaids.
my wedding dress.
Oh, there you go. That's a wonderful story.
We've been there only about a fortnight, I think, and knocked on the door. This young girl was standing there and she said, "Oh, well, would you be able to make my wedding dress?" Oh, I thought to myself, oh, don't tell me it's a place like that, you know, you've got to do everything everybody wants you to do. And I said, no, I can't sew. And she said, oh, your mother can. Because my mum was a good sewer and we lived near each other up Morville Road.
Cool.
Yeah, so, and I said, well, no, I can't. I said, oh, well, I remember. And I said, oh, yes, it's only a dress. So I said, would you like to wear my wedding dress? Yeah, so she came and tried it on. It fitted her perfectly. Oh, she went away in raptures.
That's fantastic. Oh,
But I thought, oh, fancy asking that.
oh,
I've been up there a
that's
fortnight and I was only 20 anyway, so.
yeah. So did they get married in Burnie?
Wynyard.
Wynyard.
Yeah.
Oh, Wynyard. Yep,
Yes,
yep,
yes,
yep.
yes.
Oh,
Yes,
fantastic.
Helen was Helen
Stokes.
Stokes from Wynyard.
That's cool. So did you guys know the Burridge family really
Yeah.
very well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Frank and Mrs. Burridge and
Kevin.
Well, tell me some memories about them.
well,
They're well known
Pauline.
for their the morning teas, the train stopped there and they
Of
always
course.
had scones and jam and cream, I think was usually on the list for morning tea when they got there,
Yes.
I think from memory.
Yes. Well, Winston and I did an interview with Margaret,
oh
and
yeah.
of course at the end of the interview, we were treated to these ham sandwiches. But it was remarkable. But what I really loved was they told us a story about, you know, going down to Burnie, you know, to get the hams, which then they brought back, and how she cooked them, how, you know, the family cooked them, wrapped them up in the muslin, hung them up,
Yes.
Yeah.
and everything, which I thought was really interesting, and how to freshen day old bread to make it like really fresh. And that was pretty, you know, that was really, really good. So did
Yeah.
you get involved? You knew the Burridges really well
Oh
then?
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
everybody knew everybody.
Of
Yeah, 'cause
course.
it was sort of so close.
Yeah. So did the girls go for morning tea at all at the station? Did you get together?
think
I
so.
don't think so. Somebody had this great big ugly dog, didn't they?
That was Strudwick's. They had a deer hound.
Okay.
It was about this high and really narrow. You know.
That was Pauline's introduction to Guildford.
But it used to, when the kids were going to school, he'd think so poor old dog, we thought, how ugly he was. I thought, oh gosh, what a marvellous dog though, because none of the kids ever, he used to just sort of swish it around a bit, his hip around a bit, and move them away from the drain.
Yeah. So how did you feel about people moving? Was it sort of like would have been pretty sad, wouldn't it? You know, people leaving the town that you've become, that you got to know well.
Well, nobody really moved, did they?
No.
No.
We were out the first ones to move out.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you started it.
Yes.
Yes, and of course their houses, well, they knocked those down and rebuilt them down at Ridgeley.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Just
when
over
you
the
go
road
in
on there.
in towards the dam there at Ridgeley, there's 6 houses in there that were pulled down from Guildford and moved down and rebuilt.
Wow.
Yeah,
So do you know which part of Ridgeley they ended up?
yeah,
They're still sitting there, aren't
they're
they?
still in there.
You turn left when you get into Ridge.
You can identify them when you go in.
You turn left, it's called the Circular Road. You turn left and they're all lined up along the,
Fair go.
before you get
Yeah,
round to the
yes.
dam.
Oh, I had no idea. So
Yeah.
Circular Road.
Yes.
Have to go down
Yes,
the
just as you go over the... Is there a bit of a... No, there's not a bridge there. You go in, and as you turn round to head to the dam,
Yep.
back on the left-hand side, if you go in there, there's half a dozen houses or so in there.
People live in them, or they're just sort of just
Yeah.
sitting
I
there?
think they're still living in them now.
Oh, cool,
Well,
good.
Helen lived in hers for a long time after
Who's
that.
that?
Helen.
Yeah, Helen and Flip White, they lived in one there for quite a while.
Okay. It's just such a shame when you go there, back to Guildford, that there's nothing there.
Nothing.
Yes,
You
that's
know,
right.
why
yes.
did that actually happen? You know,
Right.
why is it so necessary
Yeah.
for, the
Yes,
memories
I
of
don't know.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really, really sad. It's like when you're going down to Magnet, there's
yeah.
nothing there.
Nothing.
No, it's just it's grown up. So it sort of looked like originally it might have been a button grass type plain. Is that what, because it's so flat?
I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm just sort of surmising and
We
everything.
had
So
lovely green lawns, didn't we? We sort of started school at the Rhinus area school. One day when she started school, and I went to pick her up, and the headmaster came around to have a talk, and he's smiling when he sort of got to me, and he said, "You're this little girl's mum." The joke was that he called out and said to her, "Don't walk on the lawn. Don't walk on the lawn." And she just sort of kept on going and called out again, "Don't walk on the lawn." He said, "Oh God, I'm going to have trouble with this little girl, I think, you know." Anyway, he said, little girl," and so she turned around and he looked at him and he said, "Don't walk on the lawn." And she looked and she said, "I'm not, I'm on the grass." Because they, in Guildford, they always had a couple of draft horses roaming
Yeah.
around, didn't they? And they ate everybody's lawns. And so we always talked about the grass, not the lawn.
Oh,
We had a
yes.
lovely grass yard.
Beautiful, beautiful. So
Yes.
how did you cope with winter? Because I've seen some photos that sort of like winter's pretty harsh down
Yeah.
there. A lot of
Yes,
snow. Was there much snow when you guys were there?
yes, I'm looking for a couple of photos.
Yeah.
I think I've got a couple of little ones, but they're here somewhere. But it's when I was doing all these family ones, and they've got mixed up with everything.
Cool. Yep.
Yeah, it was cold.
Right. Yeah.
Well, at that stage I was driving the grader up there, and
Okay.
when it snowed, that was my job. I had to go and clear the road.
Wow.
Pegging your clothes on the washing line and nappies, you know, they just come off like sheets of
Oh,
cardboard.
I can imagine. Oh gosh. So a friend of ours, Daryl Luke, used to drive the trains coming through. Did you
Yeah.
ever know Daryl at all? Daryl Luke?
Yeah, I met him when he was driving the trains, but
Yes.
that's 60 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, they were pretty interesting, and he was telling us about how disappointing it was, or made life so much easier when they converted from, from the steam to the diesel.
Diesel.
Yeah, it sort of became sort of a bit monotonous and like that.
Oh, it used to be funny up when, because the bar used to be open on the railway station. If you wanted a beer, you went up there. And it used to be funny there sometimes because we'd be up there and Ted Crispin, who was the chief forester, and Frank Burridge, of course, is the stationer. And Ted used to blame him and his blinking trains for starting all the bushfires.
Oh. Well, that's quite a possibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, oh gosh. We went down to where the water wheel was the other day, Winston and I, so that's down near where the arched bridge, aqueduct, is that what it's called? Yeah, did you go down there very often? That's really, really interesting,
Oh.
actually, but you could see how old it was, like from one side of this beautiful arched aqueduct where the rail came across the top, you could see where there's original old bricks there, and they've sort of patched it up with new bricks on this side. But when you go around the other side, the old bricks are still there, and you'll go, wow. And right near there was the water wheel, which brought the water into Guildford for the to fill up the tanks, which went into the.
Right.
Oh, the railway tanks.
Yeah, I've never been there before. It was just like really, really interesting. So you didn't go down there?
No.
No,
Wow.
have to say the truth, won't we?
It's just like amazing.
No.
Oh gosh, and see up the road further, and I suppose you knew about the history of Muddy Creek. There's a sports field up there. In the that would have stopped in what was it again? 19.
Stopped in 1930, so 10 years
1930.
before that.
Yeah.
About 2 miles down south from Guildford, big open field, and they used to have sports there, but that finished in 1930. So
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, right.
it's like,
Well, before we got there.
However, there's evidence we found where they actually used to do the woodchuck carnival
Oh, right.
down there, and the sports and everything. So they'd get the train up from Emu Bay, from Burnie, and then the Waratah as well. And they all just stopped at Guildford, essentially up a bit further. People got on and off, and that was a big Muddy Creek Sports Day, way back in the day.
Yes.
Way back in the day.
But if you don't know these things, so, you just don't think to go and look
No,
about them.
No.
Because we never actually did that ourselves.
Because I think if they had chopping carnivals out at Guildford,
Yes.
I think they used to be nearly under the pine trees at the back of the railway station.
Oh, fair go.
Yes,
Well, that's always a possibility, isn't it?
yes, I think that's where they used to be.
Because they all talked about chopping, didn't
Yeah,
they?
oh yes,
Yes,
Yeah. It seemed to be really big down there.
yeah.
Yeah. And then it sort of was in Waratah as well.
Oh yes,
Okay, so there's Muddy Creek, and then at the back of Guildford behind the station, that's pretty flat.
yes.
It
Yes.
wouldn't surprise me at all.
Well, that's where, say, Frank used to, well, you didn't have temperate systems and that for your beer now, so that's where he kept his barrels of beer, down underneath the pines and that, where it was cool.
Of course. Oh, I'll have to go and have a look. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, that's really, really, really interesting. Oh, fantastic.
But he was a real gentleman, old Frank.
Me too.
Oh, they're a nice family, the whole lot of them.
Yeah, Mrs. Barrage was nice too, wasn't she?
Eh?
Mrs. Barrage was
Yeah.
nice too.
So they eventually moved to Burnie, did they, the Burridges?
Yes, no. They may have done. They came down, Alan and Margaret, of course, built up Surrey Road.
Kevin was in
Kevin.
Alveston.
He went to Queenstown, no, Strawn. Strawn, and Frank went, and Miss Burridge must have died in the meantime.
Oh, okay.
And Frank went down there to help Kevin down there at Strawn. And I used to, at that stage, I was carting gravel for Bonnies, and and I carted all the gravel down for the water supply
Yeah.
at Strawn up on the hill.
Oh, really?
And I used to go down, get down there at lunchtime, tip that off, and I could go down to the pub, have a yarn with Frank, and then head home.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so when you were there, what was the population about, do you think, of Guildford?
Probably about 50,
About 50?
do you reckon?
I reckon so. I can't remember how many pulp houses there were. Not pulp houses, EBR places.
Oh, only about 8, I think.
Yeah,
About 8, about 8.
yeah.
And the school was going when you guys were there?
Yeah.
Still? Yeah. So they had many kids? At the
Yeah, they
school?
had quite a few.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that. Yes, I don't know.
Yeah.
Of course, then Ned wasn't going to school. And,
Yeah.
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 So did you know Reg Needham very well?
yeah,
Yeah.
well, he was the big chief of Forest Holdings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yes.
Did he live in the area?
No, he lived in Burnie.
Burton came up.
Yeah.
He lived up, I think it was Amelia Street,
Yeah.
off
Yes,
Jones
and
Street.
he'd come to, we knew when he came to Guildford. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Totally off topic. You see, totally off topic right now. See, my dad, working in the timber industry, that was Keith Dunham in Somerset, he had a fair bit to do with Forest Holdings.
Oh, yes.
Okay, in the day, working, because he had Austragans out in Somerset,
Oh,
the
yes.
pine mill, the sawmill out there.
Yeah.
Yes, but I can't say what they actually did, but all I know is that they did come up that way, and that they ended up taking up, their company took the rail up from Magnet to Waratah.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah, well, see, the ply mill out of Somerset, the timber coming out of Guildford, it was graded, of course,
yeah.
but the extra, say the perfectly round ones,
Yes,
they'd quite often go to Somerset,
right.
is what they call peelers.
Yes, correct, yes.
Yes, and what they just shave
They
the,
just shaved it to
Yeah.
make the ply.
yes.
Yeah, wonderful. I've still got some at home.
Hang on to it.
I think that's what happens when you work in a place, you
Yeah.
collect
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
Because when we were there was, I don't know how many, might have been 8 or 10 contractors.
Right,
They used to cart what they call pulpwood, which was, say 5 foot,
right,
and they used to slab it
okay.
and cart it down and unload it up the Burnie timber, and then I think it was chopped up and chipped and pulped from there on. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, so what went out to Somerset, yes, we did, they did the leeches and the ply.
Yeah,
So that was more specialty timber.
yes,
Yeah, and then the other rubbishy stuff, I think, yeah, well, they made it into the pulp.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so that would explain, that going up that way. I'd say, been a bit checking
Yes.
it out. So the trains would have come up like twice a day. Was it a twice a day thing? Up and down, through Guildford down to the west coast when you guys were there?
Oh, I don't know.
Was it more often?
Whether they come through once or twice a day, might have been. I didn't take that much notice.
No, I wondered because they had the passenger train.
Yeah.
So I suppose the passenger train, was that connected with the other carriages at all?
No,
No, they were separate.
That was a separate.
Yeah. Yeah, so I suppose the passenger train came through every second day, would it?
Oh no, daily. I think.
Oh, daily for a passenger train? Yeah, it would have
I
been
think
kept
so.
busy.
I'm probably too busy with babies. When I was 5 and 6, we lived in Wellington Street down here, and I used to always wave to the Garrett train going past, and that was twice a day. I used to wait for breakfast time. I used to wave to whoever the driver was,
Yeah.
and he used to call out to me, and then at lunchtime,
Yep.
they changed over.
Oh,
So it's probably the same train.
fantastic. So that route that went from Guildford into Waratah, was that still really, that wasn't operating it when you were there?
No,
But it was
closed,
still there,
in
the track
19
The
itself?
track was still there, wasn't it?
closed in the 1930s, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Because the end of the track, wasn't it? It was down the bottom of our street, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The railway line was sort of still.
Yeah. So even though it was closed, I thought maybe they used it on occasion, but they didn't.
No.
Not at all.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yes, where that used to take off and head into Waratah was just off the bottom of our street, and that was, well, they were used as a log roll. Sometimes they used to back the train around there and they'd load logs onto it. Down there, yeah.
Right, because we saw that the other day, and where they put this big pile of rock there, just where it would have crossed the road and headed off into Waratah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to ask you an out there question. You don't know where Rouse's camp was at all? No, I'm still trying to find that.
What was it?
Rouse's camp in the early day before Guildford, and I think probably maybe Guildford, I'm not sure, in the very early days. Okay, when they bought the rail, this was way back in 1891, okay, thereabouts, it came up, there was a terminus, okay, which stopped at Rouse's camp. Okay, now Rouse's camp would have come across from Guildford, okay, and it probably came across on the original track. I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah.
No evidence. But anyway, the terminus from Guildford was at Rouse's camp.
All right.
Okay, now there's two theories about that. This is before. Then it went from into Waratah, and then out where the other dam was, which is called the dam
Magnet.
bridge. Yeah, the magnet track.
Yeah.
Yep. There was a terminus there, or just a changeover, because it was like a 3-foot rail gauge that went off to Magnet, being narrow, and this is 3'6". Okay, that came into it. But we're trying to find where exactly was Rouse's camp. 2 places. So there were 3 sawmills out there once upon a time, okay, coming into Waratah. So we're looking at, when you're going into Waratah and you turn left and there's the cemetery road, the old cemetery road. Okay, left of that, coming back, you know, is where the sawmills were. Okay, Lynch's sawmill and a few others. Okay, somewhere between there and down further is Rouse's camp.
All right.
Okay, so where the train terminus was when it first came in from Guildford. Yeah, so because when you're going way back into 1880s, early 1880s, there was a problem getting the stock, the produce out from Mount Bishop. Okay, so James Smith, Philosopher Smith, had a problem getting his ore out because it had to come from Mount Bishop, it had to make its way up Emu Bay to get onto the ships to take it up to Launceston. Okay, so, and it was pretty heavy duty weather. And the same with getting the logs out in the day, because it was sort of like wooden tramway, really bad. And then at some stage there, towards the end of the 19th century, sorry, it was converted into metal, you know, the proper rail. Okay, but yeah, we're just trying to find out exactly where those places were. Yeah, so sometimes when you're talking about, you know, when you used to get together as sort of like people and, you know, you have a chat about the old days.
So we were all about the same age when we were there.
Yeah, right, so you're really young.
Yes.
So you probably didn't think to ask things like
Where
that.
where did Charlie Hankey work?
Hey?
Where did Charlie know Mel's dad?
I suppose he worked in Bischoff Mine before he was. He used to do a bit of work for Forest Holdings, a bit of labouring with Forest Holdings.
Yeah. So did you do any shopping in at Waratah?
Oh yes, when we went, yes, occasionally we'd just go, Mel and I, because Mel didn't drive, and so we used to go to Waratah sometimes so she could see her mum and dad, they were elderly, and we used to wander around the shops and get anything we thought I've forgotten.
Yeah.
Well, that was one thing you can't do here, is I can't think whether it was Dad and Mum and Max and Ollie Rosevere or not. We had visitors. We wanted something for Sunday lunch, so we rang Cyril Neighbour Sunday morning, slip in and we got a roast.
Yes, of course, of course. You have to be organised. So did you go down to Queenstown much, down the west coast?
No.
No?
We done a trip down on Waratah.
Oh yes, we did. Yes.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah. That was only to Rosemary.
Yep.
WG1.
Yeah.
Walker Gardner 1 was the road, like the bus.
Really?
Yeah, from 1940 to 1962-ish.
All right.
Yeah, state-of-the-art passenger.
Yeah.
Oh, WG1. Okay, so that was the West Coast track.
Yeah, down to Rosebery to Burnie.
Yeah, Rosemary.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, fantastic.
The EBR must have bought that just the time the Waratah line finished, about 1940.
They could have.
And this great new Walker Gardner luxurious coach on the EBR line published, you know, the lovely advertisements. That ran for like 20 years, up and down.
Yes, yes.
Well, so the whole stack of trains actually use that route then, didn't they?
We used to get a bread from, what's the name of Ridgely?
Peachy Burley.
Yeah, Peachy and Burley, and they used to send that up on the train
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
to Guildford. Yeah. But you were talking about Guildford, that's our eldest daughter.
Okay.
That's 10 and a half months in 1959.
Oh,
Yep.
what's her name?
Annette.
That's Annette.
Yeah.
Oh.
But at one stage up there, because through Reg Needham, we had cattle running up through on the different plains and that up there. And we had a stockman at the time, and I can't remember his name, but he got
Cute. Sorry?
this real killer horse.
Was it?
And there are all these little kids, about 5 or 6, getting up against this horse, pushing it over to the fence, climbing up on the fence and getting on his back.
Oh.
And the thing
at
would
a
walk
time.
around the paddock, and then the kids would slide off and they'd push it over the fence and more and get on. Yeah.
Yes.
I've heard some stories about that horse.
Yeah.
Yes.
So no one actually really owned the horse, is that
Oh, well,
right?
Forest Holdings.
Forest Holdings did own a horse,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's something now revealed.
Yeah.
Oh, so like at Christmas time and stuff, did people actually get together and, you know, or have birthday parties, you know, like community things, picnics or anything when you were there?
Well, we got together most Saturday nights, didn't we? And
Yeah.
you know, the men would be in one room and the women would be all in the other, just talking over probably just the weeks, what had happened during the week.
Yep.
At work or what up to, and my this Merle Palmer diagonally across from us. She had a boy Stephen. The first sight of Stephen was I was washing up at the sink one day, and I just happened to look at, and here's this little boy, naked boy walking across the room. A few minutes after, Merle's out there rushing around with a towel. Well, Stephen is now, and he may have just left, but I was on the hospital auxiliary for quite a few years, and Stephen was a what do they call it? Orderly
Okay.
over the hospital. And he came in with Curse one day, and I was on duty there, and I said, "Oh, hello, Stephen, how are you?" And oh, okay. Anyway, you realise how it was. I got a bit cheekier each time, and I wanted him to do something. And I said to him one day, and there was another lady on with me, but there were no customers. If you don't really start doing as I want you to, you know, I'll let the cat out of the bag. My first introduction to you, Stephen. And he said, "What was that?" You know, it's silly. And I said, "Do you remember the day you walked across the road at Guildford?"
I've got photos to prove it.
No, not a stitch on. So I was able to get him to do anything I wanted after that.
Oh gosh. So the kids that were there, you know, in the little community there? They were all sort of connected, and did they get up to much mischief like
No.
getting on the horse?
No, they didn't really. They were all friends,
Yeah.
and you know, you'd see them years later if you saw them down the street. You know, happy to see each other, and yeah. Well, they always had birthday parties together and Christmas parties. Although we went down to the pub Christmas parties.
Yes, we used to come down.
They had always had a
Party
very
there
brilliant
down the
Christmas.
Oh.
Lovely big Christmas party down here for the whole family.
So that was right on in Burnie.
Yes,
on
out
the-
at the
down
pulp
here.
mill.
Yeah.
Wow.
Part of where Bunnings is now. That big,
Yeah. Oh, that part.
yeah,
Yep.
lawn area back there.
Yeah. Cool. Beautiful. They were, yes, yeah, it's always got that sense of community and friendship, you know, and looking out for each other there.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. Couldn't get up to that much, Mr.
No.
T, could you?
And of course, the Boers, they had 4 sons,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Boys, yes.
Yes, they had a bad run with the boys.
Gosh. So that was the era too when you would have had TVs, got a TV up.
We got a TV at Guildford.
Yeah, black and white, yes.
Black and white.
Before we got it, Ted and Betty got there first, didn't they? And everybody was invited over to have a look at for a few nights a week, you know.
Yeah.
And we had one weekend, some of us had been to Melbourne to the football grand final.
Yeah.
We came home sort of Sunday night, and when they used to put our antennas up, they were big face array antennas. You had a handle down on the bottom of the pole so you could turn it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got home late afternoon Sunday. We swung the antenna around. We watched the football finals from Hobart. And then you could swing the TV around. I don't think it was a real good reception, but you could get it from Melbourne. Yeah.
It was all on the same day.
Yeah.
Wow. I can just see that. That would have been so much fun.
Same night, right through the yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh
Good to sit down and have all these memories.
yes.
Things you don't think about.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
we had Annette, Michael, Karen, and of course one of the early programs, was the Mickey Mouse Club.
Of course.
And Crispy said you gotta keep going till you name all the kids.
Yes.
And it, Michael and Karen.
And the songs, I think we still remember those. Oh gosh. NYCKEY.
And also, you were talking about the school.
Yeah.
Do you remember old Dr. Mackey in Burnie? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I don't, probably Forrest Holden spoke to him and got him to come up, perhaps. He sent a note around to the Mrs. Wilson, the teachers, inspect, have a look at the school and have a look at the children, and he was the Northwest school doctor. Yeah. So he'd like to include Guildford in his list of schools to visit. So that was all right. Came up and he hadn't mentioned injections or anything. But so he didn't do anything like that the first couple of trips, I think it was. But then, remember when the salt vaccine came in for polio, you got a little sugar thing with a
remember
little
that.
pink in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, well he introduced that to Guildford as well.
Oh.
And so he came up, I think it was once a month he came up, and the kids we all had injections for whatever was going around.
Yeah.
And then the government decided to do a survey on all the schools to make sure that the schools were, all Australian children were getting the right amount of whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so they did this survey, and each school had a number, and so in the finish, they made this broadcast for all schools to make sure that their all their health things are up to date, because they had this survey going on, and there'd be a list of, you know, top schools, I suppose, and worked its way down to the bottom schools. Anyway, so we all had to listen to the radio to see where Guildford came on this thing, and Guildford was the most immunised state in Australia.
Fantastic.
In Australia.
That's wonderful.
100%.
100%, you see,
Oh, good the population.
was true, wasn't it?
That's fantastic, because people would say, "Where's Guildford?"
Yeah.
You know. Hey, did they do they have the milk at the
Yeah,
store?
bottled milk, yes.
The little bottled
yes,
milk?
bottled-
Yeah. It would have been cold by the time you guys
Yes.
got it. It was warm in a lot of other places, wasn't it?
Yes.
Gosh. Well, that is amazing. It's 100% vaccination. Gee, that's pretty proud
Oh,
achievement.
yes, definitely.
Without a doubt.
They probably had a party.
Yeah. So did you have anything to do with the bush nurses from Waratah?
Lexi Burns.
Alexia.
Lexi.
Yes. From, yes, and she'd bring out anything we needed. We might have been a bit short, I'm sure, as a supply case. Yeah, so she taught me what she taught me to how to, because it used to worry me, go down to Burnie, do our shopping, and we'd be coming home and it'd be dark and be getting past her meal time. And she said, don't worry about it. I said, because when we got home, she slept all the way home, see, because of the vibration in the bed and the gravel road. And I had a problem getting her to sleep when we got home, I suppose it was.
Yeah.
And so it worried me whether she got enough sleep, and you know, young mothers would be, and how she'd be the next day. And she said, don't worry about it. She said half a banana, I think it was, half a banana and half a cup of milk, something like that, would be all the vitamins that would get her through the night and the next morning until lunchtime, if she couldn't get her to eat anything in the meantime. Yeah, so that was one thing. Anyway, she said, you know, but they don't get banana seeds.
Oh.
And I thought, I didn't know banana had seeds, and she said, come out and I'll show you. So we had a banana and cut the ends off and peeled it, and she just sort of ran it through her fingers like that, and it's, you know, banana divides into sort of four pieces and she said on the edge of each of those triangle pieces, that reaches the seeds of the banana.
Well, I wonder why not. Did she say?
Something to do with indigestion.
Okay.
So she'd get a, you know, sort of a bit of a,
That's interesting.
upset tummy or
Yeah.
something. Yes, I was able to show you that, wasn't I?
Yes.
Because, see, I couldn't eat bananas for a long time,
Okay.
and I still get a bit of indigestion, or it's more a heartburn thing, which is more painful than indigestion, I think. And so the doctor said to me, only thing he could think of would be, do you like bananas? And I said, oh, yeah, I love bananas. And he said, oh, don't eat the seeds, make sure you don't eat the seeds. He said, I don't suppose you know bananas have a seed. And I said, oh, yes, I
Gosh,
know
isn't
all
that
about
interesting? I had no idea. Learned something new today.
Yes.
Oh.
So now, when I get a banana,
Cut the
I
seed.
open it up and I take the seeds out.
Yep. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, gosh. Wacko. Did not know that. Gee
But
whiz.
she was very nice. She'd pop out regularly. You could always rely on her to come through and bring anything she thought we might have needed. Or, because we didn't have phones up there in those days.
Yep. So you're a big cooker? Did you like to cook a lot when you were up in Guildford?
Yes, we had only been there a couple of weeks and they had these in the big train shed. They tidied it all up.
No, it was in the Guildford Hall. Let's put it this way, when we played badminton there, the side walls were...
Did you
That
play
was-
badminton? I saw there was a hall there to play badminton.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And tennis, you'd bang it up against the wall too, I would presume, wouldn't you?
Didn't have tennis.
Anyway, I had this anyway, beside my name was Pavlova. And I'd never heard of Pavlova. And I said, I don't know what a Pavlova is. I mean, even
Fair
in
go.
those days they were meringues.
That's iconic, you know.
Anyway, he said, oh, could you bring something? And I said, oh, well, would this be all right? And I showed him a recipe. Oh, yeah, that'll be all right. Doesn't matter what it is, just a plate of, everybody brings a plate. So I made these melting moments.
Oh.
I don't think we tasted them before we went, did we? Anyway, we were sitting around there, everybody's round the side. And they went round with a tray, I think, with a sunlight. And this boy, he took one of my melting moments. I thought, that's all right. So we watched to make sure what his expression was. Anyway, he had it in his hand and he took a bite. And he just sort of held it. He looked around, I think, to see if anybody was looking. And then he put it on the seat behind him.
I didn't like them.
They were as hard as rocks.
Oh no, that's funny. So, the reason why I mentioned it is because we've got a Waratah recipe book, and so it's Waratah and the surrounds.
Oh, right.
So we've got Margaret Brown's special recipe for her conflict, yeah. And so we're going to do a second version of it, and so I'd like to collect special recipes of them.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so if you ever got any recipes, you know, like handwritten ones in particular, that you may have thought that was special for your family in particular, I'd love just to take a photo of it and love a copy. That would be fantastic. And it doesn't matter if it's already been made before, you know, but you'll learn with melting moments that there's a special thing, special way of operating it. Watch the flour.
Right, well, back to the carpenter's workshop where Graham Kingworthy, he was the carpenter there. Dirk de Boer's house, that's where Flip lived. Ted Crisp lived there. Jim Barber, he lived there. And Ron Palmer lived there. Chapman's lived there. Cole Chapman lived there. We lived, Alan and Pauline Wells lived there. And that was the AFH office. These were all EBR places. Yeah. And it's around about here somewhere, where we used to store our gelignite and detonators. We had it built into a bank.